Am I audible? Uh, Hello, everyone. My name is Yamini. I am doing my PhD in IIT Madras, where we work in RF sensing lab. My PhD has majorly focused on Wi-Fi based sensing. But today we will not try to develop a solution on Wi-Fi sensing, but see a major problem which Wi-Fi sensing based applications usually face. So what we are going to see today is smart indoor tracking with Wi-Fi, but our focus is on lower battery use. Um, a bit about me, I just said it, but this is my lab at IIT Madras. My supervisor Ion and my lab mates, they're also here. And let's move forward. That can be in a wireless sensing pipeline, usually what happens in an ecosystem is our IoT devices and our communication devices coexist in a shared network, and then the inferences can be happening either on the devices or on the edge, and then there is a web server through which the communication is happening. But the major problem which we have seen happening, and which was part of my research internship at Samsung as well as when I was working in back in my lab, was the power consumption of the IoT devices. Whenever you're trying to do anything with the IoT devices, be it Wi-Fi sensing or any other sensing application, these devices are battery constrained. That is, they are either taking continuous input from the electricity or they are battery powered. So this is going to be the major focus of our talk today. Before we move further, the whole presentation of battery constrained localization, I want to give a brief about how Wi-Fi sensing based localization works, so as to understand how we will try to optimize the battery later on. Uh, Let us consider a smart indoor scenario in which there is an access point and then there are multiple sensors around which are sensing the arena, and we want to know where the person went. So, how RSSI is used for location tracking is we get RSS from all probable indoor access points. For example, here we have 6 access points. So, wherever there is a user terminal or any device which is receiving the RSS from each access point which is hearable at that location, we get RSS from those many access points, and that serves as a indicator of that location. Now, at any ith point. Now, as we move further, whichever location we want to have a unique indicator, we can use it as a fingerprint of that location. So, say we are at location 1 or location 2, we can have RSS incoming from each of those access point at that particular location, and that serves as a unique indicator of that location. And this is basically the gist of how Wi-Fi based fingerprint based localization works. Now, whenever there is any incoming scan at the runtime and we want to know where the user terminal is, suppose you're walking around in this area and I want to know where you are. There will be again an incoming RSS scan which will be from each hearable access point, and then from the database through which we have stored all the fingerprints, we will give a query and we will try to map it to the nearest neighbor or any other way you can map it to, and then we'll say okay, it is much nearer to location 2 as respect to location 1 or whatever, and this is how localization at runtime works. And this Wi-Fi based localization fingerprinting has many applications in industry as well as in academics. In industry, we can see there are multiple smart recommendation systems as to where you are, and then to recommend you certain products in that store, or to locate the customers, have the footfall count, etc. And then there is an inherent problem in it. What is the problem? What if the recorded RSSI is noisy? What we are trying to say is, suppose you are at any given location and you listen to a particular access point, and then you are at a very uh, high multipath area. That is, you are in a place where there are multiple reflectors, and the signal strength that you are getting is fluctuating a lot. You are getting very good signal and then suddenly you are getting a very bad signal trace. So the variance of the signal that you are getting will be very high. Let's not go into much maths. It's just that It's very varied type of signal that you're getting. And then at the same time, from another access point, which is much nearer to you or in much more closer vicinity to you, you can be getting a very good signal trace, which means a stable signal trace. How will you trust such kind of incoming scan? So what problem it raises is, at any given point when you are at a given location, you cannot trust the first scan that comes, because the first scan can be a very noisy scan. So how many scans do you need to do to have the efficient localization? As we can understand, continuous scans draw more battery, because each scan is being drawn from your mobile, and suppose you are using it in your Android mobile. So mobile has limited battery, and if you want to do localization on your mobile, more scans will drain more battery and less scans will drain less battery. So which access point should I listen to, and how many scans should I do? But before we say ki more battery drain is there, are we really convinced that battery drain is actually significant? So let's see a little stats about it. We did a small experiment and we found out that the ideal state of mobile, when the mobile is not running any background applications, no Wi-Fi, no internet, anything, ideal state is around 0.001 mAh battery drain. And then when continuous Wi-Fi scanning is happening, which means you're drawing a scan from Android every 5 seconds, it is as comparable to playing a YouTube video or a video call over WhatsApp. Which means when you continuously try to scan from your terminal, it drains a lot of battery. We are convinced here that it drains battery. But what is the cost of the localization error? How much error do we face? Will we really hamper the error? So if we see, if you're at a very good location where the signal is very good, your location accuracy will drop very less. But if you're a very high multipath area, which means at a very crowded area, your localization accuracy decreases very less. So we are overcoming two challenges here. First challenge is, how many scans do we need to do for having a optimized localization accuracy? And second challenge is, which access points should we listen to? As we saw, there were multiple access points. Some can be very good for your location, some can be very bad for your location. So which access points do you want to listen to? And from that access points, how many scans do you want to draw such that you reach optimal accuracy without draining much battery? For this, we developed LoFi, which is layout-aware fading-guided orchestration of scans and APs for energy-efficient Wi-Fi localization. And I want you to remember two things majorly here, which is layout-aware and fading-guided, because we want to optimize the scans and access points according to where you are and according to your position in the area where you are. I will just go through a brief overview of how we developed the solution. The first step of solution is to have a digital twin of your area wherever you want to deploy this solution. Suppose this is the area, and suppose you were somewhere here in this area. You drew the first scan, which can be noisy, trustable, or non-trustable also. You draw the first scan and you find a probable area where you can be. Say, I am telling you from the first scan, you can be at position X with an error of 5 meters. Now, I don't know, you can be anywhere in that 5 meters. Next, what we try to do, in that 5-meter radius of the given area, I try to approximate what is the fading measure of your area, which is basically fading coefficient, which we have done through ray tracing. Again, we need to go into a lot of depth to understand it, but overall, we have done it through ray tracing Siona, and we try to find in that zone how much loss are you facing in that particular zone. Next, once I know in which zone you are with what error, I just try to do two things. First thing is, I want to pick those APs which are most informative in your zone only, which means the access points which face lowest variance in your zone, but clarify your zone differently from others in the different zones. So this mathematical formulation, we can refer the paper if we want to go deeper, but we want to score each AP by the contribution score of how much informative it is for my zone only. Next, we want to understand how many scans we need for that zone only. So for that, we have done confidence bound estimation, and then we try to jointly optimize the APs and the scans. After this, once I know which APs to use, how many scans we need to do, we select those and we run the localization. So our lo-fi works because it has very low overhead. We have selected most informative APs within the minimum number of scans that we want to do. We have high accuracy and we are zone adaptive. Recapping the whole lo-fi framework, the lo-fi works in this sequence. We first do coarse localization, which is basically estimating where you are with a probable error zone. We next try to find how much loss you are facing in that zone. Next, we try to find out which APs are most informative in your given zone. We then try to find how many scans you will need from those APs in your zone, and then we do the joint optimization. Coming to results, this will be the most understandable part of all. This is the heat map which tells how many APs and how many scans gives you how much error. So these are the most basic results we can understand. Given that you are in an area in which you have only 3 to 4 APs and you want to draw very less scans for your localization, you can see the localization error is around 8 meters, which means 2 less of anything does not help. We can have very less APs and very less scans, but we will be agreeing to face an error of high localization error. Next, we may assume that if I had a lot of APs and I had a lot of scans, I would be facing very less error, but that does not happen. The most optimal zone is not 10 APs and 20 scans. It's somewhere around 8 to 9 APs and 16 to 18 scans, which means not that you consider all the APs in your area and you do maximum number of scans, you will get the best result possible. That is not going to happen. Why? Because all APs may induce noise instead of helping you out. Next, more scans don't help, which I just said that if you increase more scans and increase more APs, you may end up introducing noise into your readings instead of helping yourself. And lastly, we want to pick APs wisely. So in our case, if we picked 6 to 8 APs and if we had around 8 to 9 scans, we were able to achieve least number of localization error. So our overall goal that we want to have is to have this lightest band possible. But of course, this is very much focused on our area which we had done the experiment on, and the answers will change according to where you want to deploy the solution. So the way to go is to select the APs and scans, which is the method you want to do. But this heat map is very personalized to where we did the experiment, which is in IIT Madras. And with this, thank you.
Thanks, Yamini. I think you have given some time back, so we should give some time for questions. So also, these are one of the few academic people coming into such conferences, which is always good. So Vijaya has a question. Can you get a mic to Vijaya, please? Anybody else? You can put up your hand so that the next mic can come to you. But first, mic to Vijaya, please. Okay. Anyway, Tushar, it asked, yeah.
Check. Yeah. Hi, Yamini. So you talked about the layout aware kind of involving in the entire. So when we are in the planning phase, does it also take into consideration the kind of material which might come in the layout. So how do we correlate that with respect to your planning?
Yes, yes. So suppose your whole building is glass building, you will not have that much of loss as compared to a concrete building. So how we had generated the twin of the physical space that we are going to do the experiment on was through Blender. And Blender gives us the opportunity to set material properties and to make how much ever you wanted to. Of course, our area was having one glass wall and all others were concrete wall. So we made it that way. And then through that, we tried to estimate how much loss we are going to face in a given location.
Vijaya?
Uh, so, what was the maximum range that you tested in your experiment? I mean, as the device is more far away from the AP, right? You'll be encountering more obstructions, and you'll need a very detailed, layout or floor plan to accurately estimate the loss, right? So, what is the maximum that you have tested in your study?
Our area was around 30 meters by 20 meters area. But then again, we had 10 APs. So we had placed the 10 APs and then we did the experiment. Of course, your AP placement and your area will matter there. So again, access point placement in itself is a problem. But given that we were doing in an academic zone where access points were already placed around the floor, we used those in the end and then we just placed the terminal by our choice.
Yeah. So, I mean, there was a
Can I
There
put
was
the
a-
slide?
No, that's okay. Yeah, so there was a optimal number of APs and scans that we showed, around 6 to 8 APs. So that is only if you want to get that minimum error, like 1 to 2 meters, right?
Yes, in my area,
Yeah.
in my access point placement, given that your placement of APs is different and your area is different, your digital twin will differ and the losses you fail will differ. So the contribution of the work is not how much scans to do and how many APs to select. The contribution of the work is to how to go about selecting the APs and how to go about selecting the scans by selecting most informative APs and most informative scans.
I think there was one hand. Last question, maybe. There.
How it is actually different than BLE, how it works, right? So it also collects the data like how you're connecting through RSSI.
I have not tried BLE based localization to comment on it as of now.
Thanks.
But the whole paper is published in ComsNets and it is available on the website and on my Google Scholar also. So if anybody wants to go through the mathematical formulation of how we have formulated the objectives, please feel free to go to.
Thanks, Yamini.